Hello! It's Nia and Trent from the Trident Network's Tournament Podcast.
We just wanted to pop in and tell you about the Tourney Pod, where each week we pit different pieces of pop culture against each other in a March Madness-style tournament.
We try to cover everything, from movies to TV shows to music to random stuff, like our hotly contested Best Pasta Shape bracket.
You can listen to the Tournament Podcast and all other Trident Network shows wherever you get your podcasts.
We hope you'll become an attorney at Pod soon enough, and remember, may the thing with the most votes win.
Promise we'll be best friends always and forever.
Always and forever. Anyway, I'm not going.
And promise you won't like it there more than you like it here.
No chance of that. They wear uniforms and they go to a school where they learn about military strategy. They sit in desks.
No!
Yes. Well, it doesn't matter because I'm not going. I am not going.
Spoiler alert, she goes. Hey, Val.
Hey, Al.
Welcome to D-Commentaries.
Thank you. Welcome to you and welcome to all of our listeners. Today, we're talking about Cadet Kelly.
Yay!
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to say finally, because we have watched a couple good ones recently, but like this is like finally a like good one.
Yes, so fun.
And everyone knows it.
Yes, everyone knows it. It's like the first. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it because I have some theories about why everyone knows it and why it's so good.
Okay.
First of all, I want to preface this by saying that we are recording this before we are recording the episode that will actually come before this episode,
Which is double-teamed.
So we might say things in either of these two episodes that maybe don't make total sense in the multiverse timeline that we're on, but we'll do our best to keep in mind that we are in the future.
Spooky.
We'll try not to create any branch timelines.
Okay.
That need to be pruned. Al has no idea what I'm talking about.
I know that Benedict has Cumberbatched.
He has Cumberbatched all over the multiverse.
Yeah. That sounds nerdy. I bet he saw that too. Okay, Val, tell us some news about the movie.
Okay, I'll tell you all the news. The new news.
And over to you, Val.
Thanks, Al. Cadet Kelly came out on March 8th, 2002. So I was officially in high school.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I was in 3rd grade. It always amazes me that is our age gap.
I know. Well, obviously now it doesn't mean very much, but back then it was huge. And actually, I was already in high school for some of the last few episodes, but we'll pretend like this is the first one. This is the first full year that I was in high school, 2002. Anyway, Cadet Kelly was directed by Larry Shaw, who hasn't had like a huge career. He directed one single episode of Lizzie McGuire.
Okay.
And he directed 50 episodes of Desperate Housewives.
Whoa.
But that's pretty much the only things that I like recognize.
Okay. Val, you might mention it, but what years did Lizzie McGuire air?
So Lizzie McGuire aired from 2001 to, hold please,
2004. It was like short. There were only like 2 or 3 seasons or something.
Lizzie McGuire aired from 2001 to 2004.
Okay, so I was right.
Mm-hmm. And let's see when Even Stevens was. It was 2000 to 2003. So it was actually 1 year earlier, but exactly the same length.
So interesting that those seasons were so short, but we remember them being so long.
Oh, so formative. Okay. Cadet Kelly was written by Gail Parent, who wrote for a number of shows, including The Carol Burnett Show.
Whoa.
Golden Girls.
Okay.
And she also wrote Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
Wow, one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
That's not sarcastic.
And I know, you've talked about it before. And Michael Walsh, who wrote 3 things in his entire career.
Okay, let's hope they're good. Let's hear them.
Didn't even write them, like directed them. I don't know, made them. I don't know. But anyway, a documentary on the opera singer Placido Domingo, a video version of Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and then Cadet Kelly.
I don't even have words.
So I don't know. There's some weird things like that in these DComs. I don't know where they find these people. Like Gail Parent, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But not Michael Walsh. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. The cast is as follows. Hilary Duff played Kelly Collins. Hilary is probably best known for her stint as Lizzie McGuire on the show Lizzie McGuire. She more recently was on the show Younger, and she is now on the show How I Met Your Father. She's done some other stuff. She's also done a lot of music. So like a lot of her IMDb is actually
her. Let the rain fall down and wake my dreams. Let it wash away my sanity. That's all we can sing.
Yeah.
Before we get sued.
Yeah. So a lot of her IMDb is actually music videos.
Cool.
Christy Carlson Romano played Captain Jennifer Stone. Also, all of these people apparently have middle names. Kelly Jocelyn Collins and Jennifer Oriana Stone.
Okay. They really went into their characters.
And she is probably best known for her stint as Ren Stevens in Even Stevens. She's also the voice of Kim Possible on Kim Possible. She's also done some other voice acting. So she was a voice in Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, and the Big Hero 6 show. And she is a presence on the internet.
She is, where she talks about growing up in Hollywood and how her biggest thing, I think, recently was how she, I don't want to say lost the part, but she auditioned for Mia in Princess Diaries, and Anne Hathaway got the part and she did not. That is worth a watch.
Oh, I just rewatched Princess Diaries on a plane ride. That movie is so good. Anne Hathaway is incredible.
Yeah.
No one else could have played that part. Or had that kind of chemistry with Julie Andrews. So, Gary Cole played Joe Maxwell, or General, or Sir, depending on who you are and who's addressing him. Gary Cole is my favorite character actor that has ever existed in the universe.
That's a big honor, Gary Cole. Congrats.
Gary Cole has been in literally everything that you have ever seen and liked. A small smattering of examples is he is the manager in Office Space who says, you know, give me those TPS reports and all that stuff. He is in Dodgeball. He was Bingo Bob on The West Wing. He voices Kim Possible's dad on Kim Possible. So in Kim Possible, he is Christy Carlson Romano's dad. He was on Desperate Housewives for a while. He was on Entourage for a while. He was on The Good Wife and The Good Fight. He was in Veep, very funny in Veep, highly recommend. He was on Chicago Fire for a while. He's a main character in Bob's Burgers and Family Guy. And now he's actually on NCIS. He took over for, what's his face, the main guy. That pretty much runs the gamut. So like, I would say literally every person on earth has probably, who has a TV or has seen a movie, has seen him or heard his voice at some point.
Yeah.
With all the stuff that he has been in. And I find him so likable.
Yeah.
And he often plays like kind of unlikable people, or like
but
very like
like
stoic people, like kind of what he was in this movie. But he's so, for some reason, he's just so likable and I love him so much.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great.
If you don't know who we're talking about based off of those things, Google his name, Gary Cole, and you'll immediately know who we're talking about.
Yes, you will recognize him.
But this is your first shout out to watch this movie.
Yes. Andrea Lewis played Carla, Kelly's friend at the military academy. She hasn't done a ton, but she was on Degrassi, The Next Generation. They very clearly filmed this in Canada. probably
Yeah,
Tonto.
there were a couple Canadian accents.
Yeah, so a lot of the people who are in some of these smaller characters are Canadian, and thus, like, there were a lot of Murdoch mysteries. There
I
were
was
a lot
gonna
of, like, the typical Canadian things. Yeah. Okay. Shawn Ashmore played Cadet Major Brad Rigby. Shawn Ashmore is definitely best known for X-Men. He was in several X-Men as Iceman, I think is the name of his, like, mutant name. I think his name is like Bobby something. Like the human person is named Bobby in the movies. But he was also in the show Animorphs. Are you old enough to know what Animorphs is?
Yeah, I never saw the show, but I think I read a book, but we had all the books in all the libraries I went in.
Okay. Yeah.
As a child, baby, little person.
Yes. He hasn't had a huge career or like a huge resume, but he's been in some stuff. He was in The Following and he's currently in The Rookie.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new show called The Rookie?
Yes.
Oh, it's the one with
the guy who was on
on Castle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know his name. Okay. Amy Garcia played Gloria Ramos, who was sort of like the second in command to Jenny Stone. She was in All About the Andersons, The George Lopez Show, Dexter. She voiced someone on MODOK, which is a Marvel thing. She was in Lucifer. Yeah, that's it. So she's done a decent amount. Sarah Gadon, there again, in another DCOM, played Kelly's first friend, Amanda. And you might remember her from The Other Me or Phantom of the Megaplex. She's also been in a lot of Murdoch Mysteries, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. She was in 11/22/63, Elias Grace, and True Detective.
Nice.
So she's been in a lot.
Cool.
Yep. I feel like every time they film in Canada, they're just like, hey, Sarah, can you come and do some part?
Hey, we know you're here somewhere.
Okay. Linda Cash played Kelly's mom. And she is a Second City Toronto person.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
unsurprisingly, she was in Best in Show because that is a Canada comedian thing.
Oh, cool.
They're all in that. All the Second City people are. Waiting for Guffman, similar thing. She was also in Cinderella Man. She voiced a character in Angela Anaconda, and she was in a season of Fargo.
Cool. She looks familiar, but I don't think I've seen her in any of those things. If she was in an episode of Friends, that's why I know her.
Probably. I've seen her in Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman. So that's definitely how I recognized her.
Yeah.
And then Nigel Hammer played Kelly's dad, and he's basically been in Murdoch Mysteries.
Great.
So, yeah. Okay. It's a long synopsis, so we'll see how it goes. At the behest of her new stepfather, Joe, a straight-laced ex-military man hell-bent on teaching her discipline, easygoing teenager Kelly Collins enrolls in the George Washington Military School. Kelly struggles to adjust to the demands of her new environment while facing the abuse of her commanding officer, Jennifer Stone. Kelly almost drops out until she falls for a hunky classmate and decides to join the drill team. Okay, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that's not... I mean, like, all of those things, like, happen, but not like that.
No, like, she doesn't stay at school because of falling for a hunky classmate.
No, she stays because she has
and because
to.
she's like, she feels like she has to do this for her mom and for her like stepdad. I don't like that at all.
Bad.
Also, fun facts about this movie. It was the first ever DCOM that was simulcast on ABC and CBC.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's CBC?
The Canadian Broadcast Company.
Ah, nice.
Al, what were your first impressions?
Thanks, Val. I really liked this movie. I stopped writing down my favorite quotes at a certain point because I was paying more attention to the movie than to what was going on. I thought it was well cast. It was well acted. It was well directed. It was fun. It had a narrator and it had a lot of montages. Two things I don't particularly like, but I will sidestep those things for right now. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 9.
Wow.
Yeah. This is up there for me, I think, with Under Wraps and the sequel of Good movies. I would watch it again. Hilary Duff is fun in this movie. She is so fun, so easy to watch. I'm so glad that she's still in Hollywood. I know she had like a long break for a while, but I'm glad that she's like back in it. She's so great.
Mm-hmm.
And my ties to this movie, I mean, I remember seeing it and watching it a bunch. I didn't really remember the exact plot line. There were a few things that I remember seeing in my head that I was like, when this comes up, I will like know and remember. But my favorite thing about this movie is that I played the Cadet Kelly like computer game on the like Disney Channel.com games section. And it was like Cadet Kelly, and you had to like get her through the obstacle course.
Oh my God. And
so there was one line that Christy Carlson Romano would scream, and she would scream. And the one line, whether it was in a preview or it was this, whenever she says, "Get down here, cadet," that is in my brain. That I hear that when I'm trying to sleep. I like so funny. So I really enjoyed this movie. It was important to me as a child because I played this video game so much. Val, what were your first impressions?
Oh, well, I was excited to watch this movie because I think I had seen it the one time when it came out and then never again.
Okay.
And I didn't have like a distinct memory of like whether I liked it or not or anything. Like I didn't have a memory of hating it, but I just wasn't, I didn't remember what my impression had been of it. And at the very beginning, I was a little nervous because Kelly is a lot. And I was like, oh no, like this is going to be a lot. But like she does with everybody she encounters in the movie, she grew on me. Yeah, she won me over. And I think that that's such a cool approach, right? Because like she doesn't always say the right thing or do the right thing, but it's so like earnest. Like everything she does is really true to who she is. And like, really honest. She's never fake. She's never pretending. She's just herself. She can't be anything but her authentic self. And I love that. And I think it makes so much sense that she drives Jenny crazy because Jenny is so buttoned up and constantly trying to hide who she is. So they're like literally polar opposites, and that's perfect. Yeah. So I really enjoyed this from like a movie structure standpoint. It was interesting. It like had good pacing. Everything about it was great. And it had probably the most like professional cast that we've seen. Yeah, for sure. Which made a huge difference in terms of like the whole thing. Like, in fact, I noticed the difference, like, for example, when the dad was around, like her bio dad, he was like one of the least experienced actors, and he was noticeably worse than the rest of them. And so like when most of them were acting, they were great. So that was really fun. And it's funny that this was filmed in Canada, but it reminded me, and there's no way of knowing whether this had anything to do with the movie at all or any inspiration whatsoever, but it reminded me of Anne of Green Gables in the sense where Anne in Anne of Green Gables is also very similar in the sense of like, she's a lot, but it's like very earnest, and she drives people crazy and makes a lot of people uncomfortable who were like very buttoned up and conservative, but like ultimately she wins everyone over. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like this feels very akin to that in sort of themes. So yeah, really, really fun. Would watch again for sure. Yeah. And liked the messages that the movie had to offer. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Al, what are your favorite quotes or moments? Yeah, for the ones that I wrote down, the movie starts off in New York City, and Kelly and her family call them dirty water hot dogs. I've heard that before. Which are hot dogs you can get on the corner of the street in New York City. And I think that's hilarious. She says, love, here it's great. And boy, can I can relate. And then those were honestly the only two lines that I wrote down. But I did have two scenes that I liked, which were there's a competition that happens, and Kelly's facial expressions are very funny because they're all like on the edge of their seats. And she's just like,
It's very funny. And then there's a nonverbal scene between Kelly and
Jenny
and Brad that is very funny. But yeah, those are my favorites. What about you, Val?
I wrote down a lot, I think. Okay. Art is something you can't think about. It's something you just do.
Okay. That's us and our podcast.
Oh, I loved this. He looked at Mom as if she was the answer to his prayers.
Oh, yeah. I did like that.
Like, I would never say something like that, but it was so perfectly illustrating what she meant. And like,
yeah.
And Gary Cole is a very good like actor when he's not talking. Like if you watch him in any scene, he is always doing something.
Yeah.
And it's subtle, but you can tell what's going on in his head. And that's amazing. And
yeah.
in that moment, when she said that in the voiceover, you could see the way he was looking at the mom, and it was like perfect.
Yeah.
Families don't leave anyone behind.
Oh, Hannah means family.
At one point, she just goes, I believe in gun control. And I was like, girl, same.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, there was a really yikes line. My own private slave driver.
Yeah,
yikes.
I didn't like that. Yeah, let's not ever use that, people.
Yeah, no more of that. At one point, Gary Cole's character is talking about like, so he's talking about how Kelly needs to like fit in a little bit more than she is right now. And she's talking about how she's an individual and she doesn't know how to do that. And he says, individual dignity is respected, but the individual is at the service of the group. And I thought that was really interesting because the military is not necessarily known for pumping out socialists. But that's what that is. That is socialism and like collectivism.
Yeah.
Which is not the American culture at all. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Which she definitely develops in this movie.
Yes. It's cool because like she doesn't have to completely change who she is, and they don't remain like the same. Like no one remains the same, but no one has to completely upend who they are. Right. Everyone just kind of meets in the middle, and I thought that was nice. My least favorite moment was when the mom quit her high-powered editing job to be a housewife. The hottest moment for me was the first time we see Kelly in a beret. And and my favorite moment is watching Gary Cole silently in the scene when the dad comes to visit later in the movie, watching him be so like sort of quietly jealous of him and wanting, like you can see so much going on his face. And it's really like a beautifully sad scene from his perspective. And I thought that was really, really cool. So those are my favorite quotes and moments.
Yay.
Okay, so 2 things about Shawn Ashmore, who plays Brad.
Okay.
One is it says in the fun facts of this movie that he attended a military academy for 3 months to prepare for this role.
Okay, we've got another Daniel Day-Lewis.
I was like, what?
You did not need to do that, sir.
And then also, there were a lot of moments in this movie where like, so he's supposedly with Jenny, or at least he has been with Jenny at some point, like dating her. He is a bully. He is mean to her. He laughs at her whenever something embarrassing happens to her. Like he like instigates crap. And even when he's sort of like quote unquote like flirting with Kelly, even then he's kind of being mean. And I'm like, this guy is not likable. He is not as hot as they were making him out to be. They were like, is that the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my life? I was like,
kind of looks like an aardvark.
No, definitely not. Okay. I think that's it for me.
All right. Let's wear only berets. Our tops are off and we're headed to Spoiler City.
We're in our skivvies.
Cool. All right, welcome to Spoiler City, where I am gonna tell you what happens in the movie. Great. So we open in New York City and we've got a narrator throughout the entire thing. Definitely wasn't needed, but we had it. And it wasn't as bad as some of them, but just definitely was throughout like, this is how I was feeling in this moment. And it's like, we know. We can feel it and see it too. Very annoying. We see that Kelly goes to art school in New York City. She's very free, very fun. She has a best friend. She likes to do ribbon dancing on the quad. And then she has a school assignment where she has to make a documentary. We cut to meeting her dad where she's filming him and he's talking about this like wild trip that he's about to take. So we learn about her family and we learn that her parents are divorced but are very cordial to one another, which is really nice for this family. It's a really beautiful moment throughout the entire thing that mom and dad don't really have animosity toward one another. And we find that mom is dating someone new called the General, and she's a picture of him in his uniform on her desk. And they go to dinner with the General and they're like, we have something to tell you. And they are getting married. So mom and the General are getting married. And Kelly is excited for them. She doesn't have like any qualms with this man. She just doesn't feel an emotional connection to him at this point, but she's happy for her mom, in support of her mom. Then we're kind of going along and mom breaks the news to Kelly that Joe, the General, got a new job and they have to move out of New York City. So she's going to have to leave her school. And since she's leaving her school, she has to now go to military school because Joe's new job is like principal of this military school, which we later find out his dad did the same job. So he's kind of following in his father's footsteps. This is a job he's always wanted. And mom essentially quits her job in New York City so that they can go move to military school. We see our cold open with Amanda where they go back and forth and she goes, I'm not going. And then I write, guess what? She goes, because they immediately cut to like the drill field, which fun fact, I went to Mississippi State and instead of calling it a quad, they called it a drill field because it was like a military academy and when it was like at its
inception
start. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they were on the drill field. That's what I'm going to call it now. And everyone's staring at her because she's the weird new girl. She's not in uniform. So she's the new girl. She gets to her bunk. She starts to like put her things around. And then Carla, her like not bunkmate where she's up and down bunk, but like person next to her. And we love Carla. Carla's amazing. Mm-hmm. And she starts to talk to her, kind of explain. And then we hear rumors of Stone, who is Christy Carlson Romano, who then barges in and she goes a tent hut and everyone lines up except for Kelly. And so this is where we start to see like the animosity between Kelly and Stone. Because Kelly is not used to being in this like military regimen where she's told what to do. She's a very free spirit. So she kind of talks back to Stone. And so this is just like the start of all this stuff. So Kelly throughout this is trying to retain her individuality while being in a military school, which we kind of will talk about, but is very hard. So the next morning she lines up and she falls out of line and she kind of starts talking back to Stone again. And Carla offers to train Kelly, which is very nice. So this is kind of like the beginning of their friendship. And then dun, 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 we see Brad. And he's 2002 hot. I mean, he's not like hot, but he's like hot for me in the third grade, you know? Is he hot now? No, he looks like an aardvark, but like, it's fine. And then Kelly and Stone. So Kelly essentially is like creating this plan to like steal Brad away from Stone. And so this is where this nonverbal, like both running to him across the like drill field to like go meet him. Because Stone wants to ask him to the dance that's on Friday. And Kelly is just trying to be a minx.
That's the thing. Like, I think she's like less interested in Brad and more just like
wanting to like prove. Mm-hmm. Which throughout this whole movie is so funny.
I know.
And then we see school hijinks. There's a montage of military school, going to class, blah, blah, blah. So then she meets Joe, who is the general, and calls him Joe, not Sir, which they had decided she would call him Sir. And he's like, oh, like, you can't do that. Like, it's, military school. And Mom meets Carla. So like their friendship is more solidified. And then we see more military hijinks. So they're walking across the drill field, seeing them throwing up the spinny guns to like drill team. And then we see the obstacle course that they have to get through. So you have to go through the tires and climb up the wall and go under the grate. And Kelly can't finish because she's afraid of heights. So she's afraid to rappel down the wall. So she stays up there. And it's the night of the dance. And they say, you can't come to the dance until you finish the obstacle course. And Kelly's like, well, I don't want to do the heights. And so she stays up there. So then Ramos, the like second in command to Stone, stays out with Kelly while she finishes the course and everyone goes off to the dance. And she tries to befriend Ramos. So she starts talking to her, getting to know her a little bit. Why is she there? Which Kelly is really good at. Then she finishes so she can go to the dance. The dance is still going on. As she's running to go home and change, she trips and falls and rolls down a hill and pushes open the doors into the dance, stumbles, and into Stone, who's wearing a white dress, and she's covered in mud. So she then covers Stone in mud. So because she basically ruined the dance, she gets yelled at by stepdad. And he's like, you embarrass me, and you're basically grounded without being able to ground her. Like he's just upset with her. So she's really upset. So she calls her dad, and he doesn't answer because he's traveling in Mozambique. And she has a cell phone only to talk to her dad. So this is 2002. Not everyone has a cell phone, but she has a cell phone. It is her lifeline to her dad while he's traveling. Then we find out that let's get it on. Mom's having a baby, baby, oh, which means her and the general. So she's just kind of going through it right now. She then she was like using her blanket because she was sad and she didn't hide it in time when they were doing checks, and Stone finds it and Stone rips up her like baby blanket, and Val's really upset at
this
that
moment.
part.
Okay, so I never had a baby blanket or like a stuffy that was really important to me or anything like that. But I had a lot of friends who did. And I was incensed by this particular behavior. And I thought that it was
so uncalled for.
And then sort of, I'm sure you'll talk about this a little bit, but I was also incredibly impressed that Kelly never
kept it together.
And she never told anyone. It was never an excuse for her for anything, even as she was getting punished and getting in trouble and all of this stuff. Yeah. And like being told how terrible she was. She never once was like, hey, but like, so is Stone. She's did this.
I didn't even think about that part. Let me say this next part of the the show. Let me say this next part of the movie, and then we can bring that back because I didn't even think about her not bringing it up. Yeah. So because Stone rips up the baby blanket, she retaliates. And in the middle of the night, she takes paint and like paints Stone's hair. And then in the morning, she puts her shoes on with no socks. First of all, huge problem with combat boots. Put socks on those dogs, okay? And then she like runs through, everyone's laughing and making fun of her. And then we see, and it's like a slab of paint on her hair.
So we should give a little context. The blanket was rainbow colored. And so it's as if she was sort of sleeping on her face, like face down. And then Kelly just literally
and you know what? You know what it was? I noticed it. She was sleeping face up, but her hair was laid as if on the pillow.
Like out behind her.
So it was laid like this, and then she painted on top of the hair.
Right, and she painted like rainbow stripes.
Rainbow
like
in like a big square.
Yeah, to her blanket.
So funny. So she gets sent to court martial, which is basically cadet court. It's kind of like peer mediation in high school where like, you have an adult in the room, but it's peers who are going to be doing all of the decisions and things like that. Joe, the general, is really upset. He's telling mom about the story. Kelly is on the stairs overhearing everything. Mom goes to then find Kelly and sees her sitting on the stairs. And I had full expectations for Kelly to run upstairs and run from her mom, but she has such a beautiful relationship with both of her parents in this movie.
Mhm.
It is amazing. So instead of her running away from her mom, she runs into her mom's arms and is like, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do any of this, but also you put me in a situation that I did not want to be in. This is not where I belong. I didn't ask for this. And like, yeah, military school is a little different because there are kids who are being sent there out of like punishment. She was a good kid who just got dealt a hand that was not for her. So it's not like she had any preparation to come to this.
Mm-hmm.
And so then mom feels bad, but like can't really do anything. So the next day we go to court and we have to see evidence of the hair. So apparently she didn't wash it out, which is very funny. And so everyone's making fun of her because he's like, Stone, the evidence. And she's like, and according to number 7, and he's like, evidence?
This is what I'm talking about. He's a bully.
He is a bully. And so then she pulls it off. Everyone laughs. And then they're like, okay, we're going to deliberate. And Kelly's like, I didn't even get to say anything. I didn't even apologize. And they're like, guilty. So to Val's point that she brought up a few minutes ago, I wish we would have seen the part, or maybe they didn't include it because they wanted her to be guilty, or it's just Kelly's character.
Yeah.
Of her being like, yeah, I did this. I'm not going to tell you why I did it.
Like, I think that the fact that all she was worried about was that she didn't get a chance to apologize. And she wasn't concerned. It wasn't like she was saying, hey, I didn't get a chance to say my side of the story or say what she did to me. No, I think she's just the type of person. It didn't even occur to her
to tell them the reason that it was retaliation.
Yeah. It didn't even cross her mind.
Right. She didn't even tell her
mom
and stepdad.
Yeah.
And that would be the first thing I did. I did it because she did it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the decision is made by the peer mediation court, but the sentence is made by the general, Joe the general. And she is sentenced to drill team, which earlier in the movie she had said, sucks. I believe in gun control. This is, doesn't really understand it and the mechanics of it, why it's a thing. And we hear the story of she's sentenced to drill team because Joe won his league in the 70s. But she's not on the drill team. She's the equipment manager, which is a quote scut job. So she has to clean the shoes, organize the uniforms, clean the guns, things like that. So she's in the room and she starts singing like a song. I don't know what I've been told. Jennifer Stone sucks. And was singing. And then I wrote Toby walks in because I couldn't remember his name, but it's Brad. Brad walks in. They have a little oh, if you spit on it, it works. And I was like, oh, okay. Also,
I should bring up at this moment, he was 23 and she was 15 at this point.
In real life.
In real life.
Okay. Gross, 1. 2, he was playing a 17-year-old and she was 14.
13.
So even still just
mm-hmm.
Which I did watch the Lizzie McGuire movie this weekend and same thing. Paolo was 17 and Lizzie was 14.
Mm-mm. At that age, it makes a difference.
As someone who went to high school prom as a freshman with a senior. Okay, so we find out that the drill team regionals are in 2 weeks, and Kelly actually starts to become interested in drill team. She's throughout the entire movie, she's compares her life to art school and is very artsy and all these things. And so our narrator Kelly at this point describes watching the drill team kind of like watching Swan Lake, because it is very mechanical and beautiful in a way of the way everyone's in sync and the movements and things like that.
It's performance art.
Yeah, performance art. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So then we see Carla and I was going to say Hilary Duff. Carla and Hilary Duff having another conversation where Carla's I know you're having a bad time, but this is heaven for me. I didn't come from a great place. And so that's kind of what I mean by like, this is a good thing for Carla. This is not a good thing for Kelly. In the beginning, she gets there, but she then, when she's in the equipment room, she tries to like spin the gun and she's really bad at it, but she like is starting to like appreciate it more. Then we get to regionals and Stone needs a spare belt and Kelly has one. We see Rahway High School and they are really good. And then we see that they have an unarmed competition team, and George Washington, this high school that Kelly and Stone and everyone go to, don't have one until. And then they lose. They don't do very well because the Stone said, we need to practice more. And Toby's like, no, we need originality and inspiration and individuality. It was missing from our performance. And so Kelly decides that she wants to audition for the team. She wants to be on the team. And so she asks Ramos, the girl who was helping her get through the obstacle course, to help her train. And she trains for a couple months or weeks or whatever. And this is like a long timeline because mom goes from being engaged to pregnant, like visibly pregnant, like,
yeah.
like belly. So she makes the team, even though Stone doesn't want her to. And then stepdad General is mad, but he is happy that she did it, but he's mad that she didn't ask permission. And she tells him that he needs a lesson too in how to like have a new baby because he doesn't have any kids. So he's not very like dad-like. And she kind of calls him out on this, which was awesome, of like, thank you for like allowing me these things. Now let me give you advice of you need to relax a little bit. You can't be like this with your newborn baby kid.
And he literally says permission to teach. And it is
I wrote that down.
Cutest thing ever.
Yep. We really start to see him break down at this point where he was pretty like straight-laced. And oh God, he's just so good. Then Christy Carlson Romano and her are on the drill field, like having a breakdance battle. And if you've ever seen the movie Frozen, very much dance moves like Duke of Wesselton as he's trying to like woo Elsa on the dance floor. Like that's the kind of vibe we're going for here. So then Brad comes over and he's like, oh, that was so good. You should do that together. So now they have to do the performance together. We don't really see them practicing their routine or anything, but they, until like the very end, they still hate each other. So the fact that they spent all that time together practicing and they didn't ever make up doesn't make sense. But once again, plot holes.
She does kind of break through to her. Like at one point, I can't remember exactly where this falls, but Stone says like, why don't you go and do something with Brad? And she's like, you're my partner. Like, I'm here with you. We're going to work on this. And I think that kind of like surprised.
Yeah. Perfect out a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we see Dad come over for dinner. And this is the part where Val was talking about where stepdad is visibly upset that he doesn't have a relationship with Kelly like the dad does, where she's happy to see him and excited and they hug and they're emotional and they're open. And Dad's, says, I'm going to come to the drill team. I'm going to be in town. I will make sure I am there. And Kelly's like, great. And then we see her best friend at the drill show. So we like literally just cut to from dinner to like 3 weeks later at the drill show for regionals. And her best friend Amanda is there. And she introduces Amanda to the whole team. And she says, this is my best and truest friend. And Carla is heartbroken. And Val, how do you feel about this scene?
I was just like, why would you say something like that? Like, this is the only time in the entire movie where I don't excuse Kelly's sort of like accidental whatevers, because there is no one who is a good friend, which I think she is, who would not remember that their other best friend is standing right there and say that to them, or say that like in front of them. Like it's just, as someone, and you and I are similar in this way. We both have a lot of really good friends who we would qualify as best friends. I think both of us believe that you can have multiple best friends. There's
I got like 50.
Yeah, there's like no limit to how many best friends you can have. And like, I don't know about you, but I would never be like, this is my bestest friend in front of like other best friends.
Yeah. See, my only argument with it though is she's known Carla for like 6 months. She grew up with Amanda, and I know we see it later explained, but she could have said different words, but I feel like Carla should have been a little bit more understanding of like, oh yeah, that's her best friend Amanda from home. I know I'm her best friend here.
Right. But she could have said, this is my oldest friend. This is my best friend from New York.
Yeah.
This is like, there are so many. Oh, man. I'm
just glad
so
she
mad.
owns up to it in 2 scenes later.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't agree as wholeheartedly as you do.
I think that like Carla, having said what she said about like how crappy her life was. And
I mean, Carla doesn't have any other friends.
Right.
So it is a tough situation for Carla for
You have to be careful with her is what I'm saying.
So they were backstage and Kelly's phone goes off, but it gets disconnected and everyone freaks out at her. And they're like, if that had gone off during the show, we would have been disqualified. What's wrong with you? And she goes, oh, well, it's my dad. And like, this is the only thing, like he called me, but it got disconnected. And I go, and then Carla comes up and is like, well, why don't you ask your best friend Amanda for help? And it was very, damn, Carla. Okay, girl. Like she really, at least she said something and didn't sit in the corner, didn't say anything. But the line went dead and she knows something is wrong. She's like, Dad called me. He never doesn't not answer. And she's starting to like tear up and she's talking to the general and he's like, let's go find him. And she goes, no, I have to stay with my team. I have to stay together. So this is what Val and I were talking about earlier too, of like, she really develops this. No, I am part of the squad. I cannot let the squad down. And they switch roles in this of stepdad finally steps up and is like, no, we're going to go find your dad. We know where he is because he's taking pictures at this place. Something is wrong. Your intuition is right. Let's go. So they leave.
And tell no one, not even her mom, where they're going.
And so then the team is about to go out and Kelly is missing. And they're like, where's Kelly? Where's Kelly? Where's Kelly? And she's gone. And so they're like, well, we just have to do it without her. I guess luckily enough, it didn't matter too much that she was missing. But then they only are down by 5 points. So like it probably mattered by like 3 points. They were probably just bad. But then they go to where Dad was supposed to be shooting and they go and they see his camera bag, and he is not there. And she looks over the ledge and he fell. And she was previously afraid of heights and she has to rappel down the mountain because she's now over her heights because she got through the obstacle course. And the drill team starts. These are going on simultaneously. We see like the drill team performing and she saves her dad. Sir, the general, Joe, calls her Kelly instead of Cadet, which he had been calling her all movie. And then she has this very beautiful moment of my dad and my dad. So it was very nice. Then they go back to the regionals. She talks to Carla and apologizes and says, I should have not said that. I am so sorry. You are one of my best friends and I appreciate you so much. They make up. Then we see Stone and Kelly do the unarmed drill show. And they start off doing their fun Duke of Wesselton dance moves. And then do you remember in the very beginning of Spoiler City when I said that she was on the New York school campus playing with ribbons? Well, they bring those ribbons back, baby. And they do a string dance with these ribbons. And they don't get first place. They get second place. Everyone's disappointed, but also happy because second place is still good. And we find out that Stone has been a big biatch the whole time because she's moving to Europe. So she's just been sad and not going to therapy and taking it out on everyone else. And we end on Cadet Kelly being a happy little human. Yeah, this movie's great. Go watch it.
Yeah, it's just really fun. It is a little longer, so I think it's like an hour 42 or something like that. So be prepared for a slightly longer movie, but like it doesn't feel long and it's just, it's great. Also, Al, I have some ribbons, so I think we should recreate this.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? That'd be so fun. We're gonna talk about it when we head to our next thing. But this movie had some great music.
Yes, it did. It had a full soundtrack.
Yeah, this movie's good. This movie's just so good. I'm so glad I gave it a 9.
Yeah, and I think that like let's talk about this now because we sort of alluded to it at the beginning. I think that like this movie, and I think that like maybe more of them have this after this, but like this movie has the perfect combination of like, it's not that everyone in this movie was like too famous to be in this movie, but like they're great actors and they got music, like real music.
Yeah.
And their writing was decent. The directing was decent. Like it was just the perfect like combination of factors. And maybe it's because this was the first one that they simulcast on ABC Family or whatever, which is now Freeform or whatever. But like this just feels like a different level of movie. Yeah. Than the other ones.
I think that this next generation, like I think we're graduating from what we were calling like the middle school era into like the high school era of DCOMs where they start to feel a little different. So we're starting, I think, to get there.
Yeah.
Because we don't get as many DCOMs a year as we did in 2001, right?
No, there's still a good amount in 2002, you know, every couple months on average, something like that. Yeah,
but it's not every month all the time.
Month. No.
Maybe they realized that was not a good choice.
Probably. Yeah. Probably, yeah. Yeah. And some of them were great. And also I have nostalgic love for a lot of them because that was when I was that age, right? Like I'm already like starting to kind of outgrow these, right? Like I'm like just still okay, but like now I'm like closer in age to the older kids than I am to like the main character, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting to see these because like I didn't watch these as many times. Like I watched like Halloween Town and Brink and all of those like over and over and over and over again.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, I watched the old ones, but we're starting to get into the era that I do know these random, you know, You Wish, Stuck in the Suburbs. Like I know all these ones.
I've never seen those.
Even this Cadet Kelly, and you look at Get a Clue. Get a Clue was a legit movie too with Lindsay Lohan. So it's really interesting, this new era that we're coming into. I'm really excited to explore it. And then it's going to take until 2010, 2011 for it to get to me not seeing new DCOMs. And even then, I've voluntarily watched all of the Descendants. I've voluntarily watched Lemonade Mouth even before we started doing this. Yeah. So I'm excited to see, you know, it's going to be still, you know, a year, 2 years, however long it takes us to get to some of those. But it's going to be really cool because your kids are going to be there with us. Let's play some bingo.
Let's do it. Bingo.
All right, Val, you could start.
Okay. So actually, I should have done more homework on this, but One Hit Wonder. I don't know.
I am invincible. I'm incredible.
So there are a lot of songs in this, but I don't know if they're one hit wonders. So there's a song called One Girl Revolution. There's a song called Don't Get Me Started. There's a song called I Need to Hear It From You. There's a song by It's Not That Deep. Called It's Not That Deep. There's a song called Watch Me Shine. There's a song called Relating to a Psychopath.
Oh my God.
And then there's a song called You Can Be Anything. And maybe one of those. Let's assume that at least one of those is a one-hit wonder.
For sure. Breaking the fourth wall or looking into the camera?
So I was pausing the scene where they were doing the at the beginning because I had to write down all the dialogue.
And they looked directly in the camera.
She looked directly into the camera when I paused it.
Wow. And thank goodness you were pausing.
Holiday themed.
Nope. Not today. Clunky metaphor.
I mean, like,
there's a lot of lessons learned in this movie for sure.
Yeah, but as far as like metaphors, I mean, definitely like the whole contrast of like being super buttoned up versus like, you know, the individualism. Yeah. And like how those two things are both kind of costumes in a way, which I think is also why she's dressed so outlandishly at the beginning, because they're trying to show that contrast.
Clunky metaphor. I've heard it.
Parents who just don't get it.
If we count her stepdad as her parent, he does not get it until later.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool non-parent adult. Toby.
Is he an adult?
I'm just kidding.
Okay. I mean,
no, not in this
He was
movie.
literally an adult.
Yeah.
No. Someone too famous for a TV movie.
I mean, Hilary Duff had Lizzie McGuire fame starting at this point, but I wouldn't say that she was like too famous for a Disney Channel movie.
No, I was mostly trying to figure out if Gary Cole was famous enough at that point. I mean, he's been acting since like the 80s, but he'd definitely done Office Space already. Let's say yes.
Okay, great. Competition to resolve central problem. Actually, yes.
Yeah.
We haven't had this one in a while.
I know. And
I didn't even think about that.
I know. When I saw that, when they were like regionals, I was like, oh my God, I forgot.
Competition. We're going to mark the box that typically just has spider webs on it.
Montage sequence.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Cliche villains.
Mm-hmm.
School bully.
And
she was a bully.
And
but...
the drill sergeant combined.
Yeah. Whoa.
Clothes or items you owned. Yes. I had a couple things.
Yes.
First of all, that phone she has, the like Nokia phone. I didn't have a pink one, but I got my first phone also in 2002.
Cool.
And I had the exact same phone, but like in gray or whatever.
Nice.
Standard color it came in. Also, in her room in New York, she has like a bunch of collages that she made out of like magazine pictures and stuff on her walls. And I did the exact same thing. I love that.
Yeah, that counts.
My walls.
I had a beret.
Nice.
I actually still do. My friend got it for me from when she went to France. I have a beret. Rotten Tomatoes 40 to 60.
Ooh, I think it's going to be higher. I'm going to go 71.
The people have spoken. And the people do not like this movie. It's 49.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Didn't we just see a movie that was not as good? That was like 75 or something?
Uh-huh.
I'm like legitimately
I know.
befuddled.
Well, like I don't remember which one it is. I think it's like Princess Diaries. Like Princess Diaries only has like a 62 or something.
Ugh, that makes me sad. Happily Ever After. Yes. Another freeze frame and a smiling gal.
Freeze frame. Yeah. Almost kissing.
Not really.
The like spit scene.
I don't even
Or
count that.
does Mom and Sir?
But they don't actually like show a lot of affection in...
Just in the bedroom.
Yeah, like we know they knocked boots, but we don't see any spit shining.
So there was almost kissing if they had shown that scene.
Okay. Where are we? Oh, someone who became famous. Oh, yes.
Yeah, like
so
a good
many.
chunk.
Yeah, 3 at least.
Betraying of one's real friends or values.
No.
No, she really sticks to herself in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Your childhood crush.
I have a crush on Gary Cole now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I had to have thought that Toby was cute.
I remember like kind of thinking it was cute in X-Men.
Okay, we're marking it.
Okay.
Obviously bad special effects or stunts. The only thing is it's not Hilary Duff doing all of the drill things, and there was like 2 times that it was obvious.
That's a good call. Yeah, I remember thinking like in the audition or whatever tryout, she like anytime they were behind her, it definitely wasn't her. And then obviously when she's rappelling as well, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Our decom stars: Eric Von Detten, Kirsten Storms, Ryan Merriman, Kimberly J. Brown, or any Lawrence brother. No. But we might be getting to the point where we have
I
to
was going to
switch
say,
this.
Val, I think with the star power of Hilary Duff and Christy Carlson Romano both having their own Disney Channel show, I was wondering if, because we regard this as our Disney Channel star box, if we're willing to make an exception on this one today.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I think that with the two of them having their own shows, Christy Carlson Romano having 2.
Yeah.
Kim Possible and Even Stevens.
Yeah.
That's star power. Like Eric Von Detten was only in one movie.
Right.
Musical number.
Mm.
No.
No. Magic.
No. Not even science magic.
No magic at all.
Someone says the title of the movie.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah. Which is so funny because they would call her Cadet Collins, but they do call her Cadet Kelly on purpose.
Yeah, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Scuba dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The heroes create the problem. I'm going to say no because it's not her choice to go to school.
Correct. Lead is a fish out of water.
This is about as fish out of water as it gets.
There is no water. There's none whatsoever.
No water. Okay, Val, we have finished bingo. And we successfully got 2 bingos today.
Woo! I knew we were going to have to get bingo today.
We had to get at least one. Yeah. Second line down, breaking the fourth wall, looking into the camera, someone too famous for a TV movie, Rotten Tomatoes 40-60, your childhood crush, and someone says the title of the movie. And then we have diagonal from top left. We have one hit wonder song, someone too famous for a TV movie, Happily Ever After, Decom Starbucks, and lead is a fish out of water.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Solid performance.
Solid performance.
2 for second place, which is what they get in the competition.
That's true. Okay, great. So Val, today instead of playing a game, we're going to take a different step today because of the current climate and what's going on in the past week and month and year and almost what feels like every day. And this movie really deals with, as an aside in this movie, it talks about gun control and gun safety. And, she's on the drill team. And with what's going on, even though I know that this episode's going to come out a few weeks after we're filming this, when you might even forget that all of this stuff happens because life kind of moves on. But for the victims of school shootings and wherever they are, that life never stops. And so today, instead of playing a game, we're gonna take a moment and donate some money to the Everytown organization. It's Everytown for Gun Safety. So this is an American nonprofit organization that advocates for gun control and against gun violence. This was started in 2013 and is a really great organization to donate to.
It was founded as in reaction to the Sandy Hook shooting, which was the last time that we had something so horrific happen to such young children.
Yeah. So instead of playing a game today, I just wanted to say, take a moment, send whatever you can, even if it's $1 over to Everytown. And it's hard and we laugh and we continue our lives on, and some people don't get to do that.
Yep. And it might feel like nothing ever happens. And a lot of that is because the gun lobby is so powerful, and donating to organizations like Everytown helps counter that to some degree. It sucks that money is the only thing that works in this scenario, but it is. So if you do have anything that you can donate, that is a good way. Everyone keeps saying, go vote, go vote. Yeah, of course, vote. But money talks. And
coming together and continuing to talk about these things is what's going to keep them going. So hopefully even this coming out a couple weeks later is going to be a good reminder for you. If you did donate right away, here's your reminder to donate whenever you can again.
And we'll put a link in the show notes for that organization.
And we will also post this on our Instagram stories and Instagram page as well, where you can donate if you would like to check it out there. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, Val.
Thank you. I'm so happy to always see your face. Friends, as always, we appreciate your reviews, your telling of friends, your ratings, your subscriptions, all of those things help us find more people like you. And in fact, you recently helped us get to 2,500 downloads. And we are so unbelievably grateful to each and every one of you.
2,500 downloads and 30 some episodes. We are so grateful for you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on this journey with us.
Yeah.
And next week, we will continue the journey with True Confessions.
I don't even know who's in that or what it's about.
Me neither. So
Great.
It'll be fun.
Can't wait for
surprise
us to get
both
a
of us.
first look. Bye, Val.
Bye, Al. This podcast was produced by me,
And me.
and it was edited by me.
The music was composed by Michael McNally.
You can find us online at thetridentnetwork.com/dcommentaries-pod.
And you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at dcommentaries.
D-Commentaries is a part of the Trident Network. To learn more about our videos, live shows, and other podcasts, please visit thetridentnetwork.com.
Disney Channel original movies.
Damn it, Allie.